Joining me now is Sarah Nelson. She's the president of the Association of Flight Attendants and a major labor leader in this country. Sarah, it's great to see you. Thank you for being with us. Sarah, I want to ask you, 2023 and 2024 were remarkable years for the union movement in this country. We've been hearing for decades about how unionization is getting smaller and there are fewer people and people don't care as much. And then we saw unions really step up under by the way, with a president who was really supportive of unions. Tell me about the union role in what we're seeing right now.
Well, unions are all about the power behind this movement. If you think back to 1914, when coal miners, actually 28 different languages spoken in a tent city that the coal miners had created to go on strike against the coal barons, who were not even upholding the standards of Colorado law. And all of these immigrants were out there striking for basic dignity at work. They were using the power of their labor to stop production, to bring about change. And what did the coal barons do? They called out the Colorado National Guard, who fired on them, burned the entire tent city, killed 25 people, including 11 children. And Mother Jones, the great labor organizer, came out there and said, sure, you lost, because any competition between bayonets and the Constitution, the bayonets are going to win every time. But you will fight and lose, you will fight and win, but you must fight. And they went on to fight, and they built the biggest and strongest union in America that went on to build the UAW and the steel workers and communication workers of America, and built up the great social and economic contract that created the greatest shared prosperity this country has ever experienced. So that is the power that we can bring to this movement to stop the march of fascism and the attack on regular people that is an attack on our Constitution, our contract with America.
And we were just talking to Leah about the fact that there are people involved in this thing. This has got nothing to do now with immigration policy, in the same way that going out there and protesting against the government is now, people are just talking about protecting their neighbors. So talk to me about this, because I think it was 7 years ago this week that you were on a show with Don Lemon, ironically, and you called for some sort of a national action, a strike of sorts.
We were in the middle of a government shutdown, and our safety and security was getting stretched further and further. And our union was talking about this daily and talking about the threat to our jobs, the threat to not only our safety and security, but our economic security too. And so we were talking about striking, and we called on the rest of the labor movement to talk about a general strike to end that shutdown. We knew that if we came together and just simply stopped this country, that all things would stop. And in fact, when we actually talked about that and made that the narrative, then when a few flights started to cancel because some of the air traffic controllers could no longer safely do their jobs, that shutdown came to an end when there was no political end in sight. It was labor that actually changed the course of history there, and we can do it again. The threat of a real general strike with workers actually withholding their work, this is something that we have to work toward. It is also something that unions can do. We can hold those conversations in our places of work where we can talk about what we can do together to stop a system that is supporting the suppression of American people.
And then there's the people who go out to protest, as we were talking with Leah. There's the organized labor, the things they can do, and then there's withholding your spending. There is economic power. There are a lot of companies that are lined up alongside or behind the Trump administration in their enforcement, the so-called immigration. I don't even call it immigration enforcement because it's just thuggery. But the point is, there are a lot of companies that are forward-facing that we as the media can tell Americans about, and they can say, we're just not going to support those companies because they don't share our values about this country and our neighbors.
That's right, Elliot. And we should be calling on all companies to be Fourth Amendment companies to protect the rights of their workers. And frankly, they need stability in order to exist. But I would also argue that some of the biggest companies use immigration as a cudgel against their workers. This is how they bring down wages. This is how they work against people. There's a wonderful article this week by Alex Press and Jacobin. I encourage people to read it. It's about why unions should care and why labor should raise up for immigration rights, because this is a tool that is used by the boss to keep workers down. The basic right to complain, to sign your name to a union card, to be able to put your name on something, have an interview with the press and talk about your issues, that is disruptive disrupted, when you have to worry about showing your papers, when you have to worry that you're going to be dragged away, when you have to be worried that you're going to be separated from your family.
Sure.
So this is a tool of the boss from the beginning of time. We have to understand that, and we have to come together and talk about it in our unions and turn on the car, just like UAW did in 2023 with that great stand-up strike to turn around the economic conditions for auto workers.
I imagine we'll be talking a lot more about this in the coming weeks. Sarah, good to see you again. Thank you for being with us. Sarah Nelson
Thank you,
is the president of the Association of Flight Attendants.